What was abolitionism in colonial Latin American slavery? Imagine a time when the idea of freedom was just beginning to take root across vast lands filled with plantations, mines, and bustling cities. That's the world of colonial Latin America, where slavery was deeply woven into society. The transatlantic slave trade brought millions of Africans to these lands, fueling the economy and shaping culture. But amid this, a movement started to grow, one that aimed to end slavery altogether. Abolitionism in this region was not just a sudden push but a slow, complex process. It was influenced by the legal traditions of Spain and Portugal, which included some protections for enslaved people. For example, enslaved Africans and indigenous peoples could sometimes buy their freedom or appeal to royal courts for justice. These legal options made Latin American slavery different from other parts of the Americas, where enslaved people had fewer rights. The earliest efforts to challenge slavery came from religious figures like Bartolomé de las Casas. He initially supported indigenous slavery but later became a fierce critic. His writings helped push the Spanish government to pass the new laws of 1542, which aimed to end indigenous enslavement. This was one of the first major legal steps against slavery in European colonies and showed how moral debates within the Catholic Church influenced policies. As time went on, ideas about ending African slavery gained momentum, especially during the wars for independence in the early 1800s. Countries like Chile and Colombia started to pass laws that made children born to enslaved mothers free. For example, Chile declared freedom of wombs in 1811. Other nations followed, with Venezuela and Peru abolishing slavery in the 1850s. Still, in places like Cuba and Brazil, slavery persisted much longer, with Cuba ending it in 1886 and Brazil in 1888. Abolition was not just a top-down change. Enslaved people fought back in many ways. Some formed communities called maroon societies to resist and escape. Others used legal systems to claim their rights. Cities like Havana and Rio de Janeiro became centers where enslaved individuals, especially women, could seek freedom through courts. Their efforts, combined with political shifts, gradually weakened the institution of slavery. From a Latin cultural view, abolitionism is seen as part of the larger story of Mestizaje, mixing of indigenous, African, and European roots. Ending slavery was seen as a step toward creating more inclusive societies, even though inequalities remained. The history of abolition is remembered through stories of those who fought for freedom and the cultural blending that defines the region today. When slavery ended, Latin American economies and societies changed. Freed people entered the workforce, often facing discrimination but also contributing to new cultural traditions. Today, music, religion, and festivals reflected the African, indigenous, and European influences that came from this history. The fight to end slavery was a long journey, but it laid the groundwork for the diverse and vibrant cultures we see across Latin America now.